The project completion report. The completion report is a formal document of closing the project. This is a report that is done by the project manager, so it is his responsibility to complete the report at the end of the project. Here are some of the contents that we have usually on a project completion report. There will be an executive summary, a background explaining a little bit of the background of the information on the project, a description of the strategy and the approach the project designed or was able to identify. That includes elements about the design, the project logic, that's the log frame, also information about the management plan. You can also include the project team and information about specific constraints on the project. Then you need to describe the stakeholders, the group of beneficiaries, and the partners that were part of the project. A summary of the project results that includes the log frame indicators and information about the outputs, outcomes, and how the project was able to contribute to the general impact. This section may or not may be available, the information on impact, depending on the evaluation report that is provided, but it will be important to include elements about the outputs and the outcomes because they are closer to the project and the project will have that level of information. The other element is the project completion status. That is the status on elements about the scope. That's all the activities, the schedule, the budget, and quality. That is where you can provide information on charts or graphics that will show you what the project started and where it ended. It could also include elements about the project changes, all the authorized changes that were made on the project, and then contract modifications that were also approved by the donor. Then you can also list how the project managed risk and issues, information on team, stakeholders, information on procurement issues and risk that impacted those areas. The last sections include lessons learned on managing the project and recommendations. Again, these are recommendations that will be made available to other teams or projects that are managing similar projects. The main part of the completion report also may include an annex where you can attach information about a financial statement. That is usually the financial statement that will provide information about how the budget, how the funds from the donor were managed. Financial audit, that is the external audit on the use of the project resources. An inventory and asset report, especially on all those inventory or assets that were purchased with donor funds, and a transition plan. In some projects, there might be more need for a transition plan that includes how the project's going to be transferring the final assets or inventory, or even elements about knowledge management that will be transferred to the beneficiaries or the communities. And that transition plan also helps ease the process of closing the project. The last part includes the audience of the report, and depending on the type of project and the organization, most of the time you will have the donor or the funding agency, a senior management in the organization as the audience. Project managers, you can select other project managers in the organization who might be interested on reading the report. Definitely share the report with the project team, some of the partners that also were part of the project, some key stakeholders that you might find they're interested in reading the report. And depending on the donor, you might also be required to share it with the general public.